Good morning, I'm Mike B from Who Dares Rolls on behalf of the UK Gaming Media Network at the UK Games Expo 2015, and I'm joined by Richard Denning.
Hello. Hi.
Hello Richard, how are you?
Not bad at all.
Good. Now you're here with your other hat on,
yes,
as a games designer hat, with your latest, which is Tinker Tailor.
Tinker Tailor, yeah.
Cool. So this is a set collecting.
Yes,
with
role picking
with a twist.
Game.
Yeah. So, do you want to give me the elevator pitch, as it were?
Okay. So it's all about collecting these goods cards, as we call them.
Yep.
Let's put one of them out like that. So I don't know if you can see that. Then what you've got on these cards is 5 different types of cards. So we have bread, which costs 1 to buy, fish, which costs 2, cloth, which is 3, wine is 4, and finally gems are 5. So the cost of is the little bit in the diamond there.
Yep.
And then if you look at the number of cards you've got on the left hand side.
Okay.
And that tells you how many points your set is worth on the right hand side.
Gotcha.
So 1 bread is worth 0, whereas in the case of this one fish is worth 0, but 8 fish is worth 36.
Yep.
So you're trying to get sets of the same thing up to 8. Any more than 8 is wasted.
Right.
So you try and make sure you don't get more than 8. And ideally as many different cards as possible. And you also get bonuses for having 1 of everything.
Okay.
10 points at the end. So it's about collecting them, getting the sets, and scoring points at the end. This is money, 1 to 5 coinage. At the end of the game, they're worth half their face value.
Okay.
But you basically use them to buy goods with.
Yeah. So your main priority is spending money.
But if you've got stuff left over, it's worth half the face value. Now, what you're doing in the game is choosing a role. But based on the nursery rhyme Tinker Tailor.
Yep.
From a set of 17
of these characters.
Characters which are on this little card here. The first 8 of which are familiar from the rhyme Tinker Tailor. But when I research the rhyme, you discover the fact that actually there are variants of it around the world and so on. And so I thought, well, another verse could be added on. We'll come to actor in a minute. So 17 cards. And what you normally do is you shuffle all of these together, and you'll have a number of these. So in a 3-player game you'll have 5, then it's 6 for a 4-player game, and so on. 2 more than there are players.
Right.
And that also applies, by the way, for the number of goods cards and coin cards
and the money
that you deal out. This is actually set out as per a 6-player.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, a 4-player game.
Right.
Okay. So what would actually happen is we would deal these together, and we would have 6 of these.
Yep.
But randomly shuffled, and I would give you the cards. You would then choose one of those.
Okay, so I'd select a character.
The 5 to the
so we're drafting
thing. They choose one and so on round.
Okay.
Until there'll be 2 left over at the end that are not going to be chosen this particular round.
Right.
And then what happens in the game is that the first player who will have this rhyme card in front of them will start reading out the rhyme, Tinker Tailor. Now, as the rolls come up, you say, "Oh, I'm Tinker,"
right,
and then you play the card.
Okay.
So the order that the cards will get played is determined by the rhyme and also shown by the numbers in the here. So Tinker will always
be first to go,
and actor is the last one.
Okay.
And then you play out the card roll. But now you can see what's in front of you in terms of what's available.
Yep.
But what that will change depending on what other people's rolls do. So in the case of Tinker, for example, it says here, select 1 or more of the lowest value goods cards from the market.
Okay.
Well, the lowest value goods cards are these, so you would take those 2.
Take those away.
But then we would be replacing them with 2 more of these, which is obviously slightly different.
Yep.
That goes
so that's
Tinker player.
Tinker's got that. I've got that.
Okay. And then the next player plays there.
They play their
role.
role.
The other rolls, quickly. You've got Tinker. You've got Tailor that takes the any one goods card, generally the highest value one.
Yep.
Probably. But there are strategies where taking the 3 and the 4 that can work better because there are less of these.
Yep.
There are only 9 of these. There are proportionally more of everything.
Yes.
Everybody's after gems.
Yeah, because there's a short. Yeah.
Games are won by people who go for the 3s and 4s more.
Go for the middle ground.
Anyway, that's that. The soldier takes 2 of the money cards.
Right.
Takes the king shilling, as we call it. Looks at the 2 cards. Selects one and takes it.
Yep.
And gives the other one to the player with the least number of cards.
Right.
Which can be himself.
Yeah.
If you work that out.
Yeah. If you play carefully, you can get a bonus from that.
Indeed. A sailor can take any 2 goods cards. So, maybe something like that. Rich man will take the best money card available.
Okay.
Now, if you've got money, you can spend it at the end of the round.
Right.
So you have, it's almost like there's a phase where you play the roll, and then you
get your bonuses.
I'm just going to buy something, and you can buy as much goods as you can afford.
Okay.
So you potentially could mop up the entire.
So you could go, I'm having the lot.
Yep. Poor man takes as many of the lowest value money cards as possible. In this case, he would take those two.
Yep.
But sometimes it can happen. There's no ones out. You
Okay.
can mop up a load of twos.
Yes. So again, if you play it ahead of your game, you could maybe give yourself a position where there's higher value.
You've got to remember the order and things, because these ones are going to come first in the round.
Yep.
The later cards come later in the round, and this may have changed significantly.
Yep.
So you're gambling a bit.
Yeah.
And so the slightly more powerful cards usually come later. So Beggar Man can take one money card from a one money card or a bread card from anyone else around the table.
Okay.
That's good. That potentially is a good way of getting bread late in the game.
Yep.
Because everyone will have bread by then.
And then you have, thank you very much.
Man, everyone gives me a money card or a bread card.
Cool.
Thief can literally take someone's set, take the card they want, and nick it off them.
Oh, no, I always like those sort of cards. They're always a favourite of mine.
But there is a comeback for Thief, as you can see.
Of course.
So what else we got? We've got. So I'm not going through the necessary number order. Here we go. Preacher.
Yep.
So Preacher takes the top 3 goods cards, chooses one, gives one to either the Beggar Man if he's in, or Poor Man if he's in.
Right.
So give him to the poor sort of thing.
Yep.
Or any other player.
Okay.
Not himself.
Not himself. No.
So, but that means he's got a choice of 3. You'll take the juiciest one.
He's obviously I'll pocket that.
Someone else and discard another one.
Yep.
Sort of thing. So there you are. You've had that.
Cool. Thank you. Lovely.
And then Pirate. What Pirate will do is he'll take any 2 cards from the display.
Okay.
Could be money. Could be mixed.
Right.
So maybe that.
So he's obviously going to blag the good stuff.
Blag the good stuff. And then the Pirate cards come out. They block those slots for the moment.
Right.
And they'll get unblocked when Pirate is called next round.
Right.
Okay. Then you've got Outlaw, who can just say, "Give me a gem."
Right.
And if they've got a gem, they've got to give it to you.
The old Robin Hood.
You've got to remember who's got the goods.
Who picked up the gem in that round?
The thief has nicked the gem off that guy.
Yeah.
Okay. So now all these these are slightly more nastier cards. So we've got the Jailer, who is the comeuppance for any of these.
Okay.
So if the Thief, Pirate or Outlaw was used this turn, then they lose a random goods card back to the Jailer.
Right.
And the Jailer also takes the top money card as well as pay. So you get something anyway.
Nice.
And if you happen to notice when that there's an Outlaw and a Thief and a Jailer, then you might think, well, let's take Jailer.
I'll take him because he's going to.
These 2 are going to be chosen by somebody else.
I could cash him in later, and I'm going to get some nice out of them.
So that's Jailer. Then we've got Old Man. Old Man's been saving through his life and things.
Okay.
So he gets 1 money card for every 3 cards he's got.
All right.
Up to a maximum of 4. So if you've got 12, you've got 10, 11, 12. It's all rounded up. So 10, 11, 12 cards.
Yep.
Means you would take 4 money cards.
Cool. So he might be a good one to just go for all the low value, get a pile of that stuff, and then whoops.
And it's also a good end game card.
Yeah.
So you're going to pick up lots and mop up lots of stuff, and also fill your holes that you haven't got and things. Then 14 is a Young Man. Young Man can either take any one card.
Yep.
Or the lowest value money card and the lowest value goods card. Generally, it's any one card, but there are times when
there might be
something else. Then we have Merchant. Merchant takes all of the same goods cards, so I'll have all that fish.
Right.
Now you can notice there are sometimes situations where that can be very lucrative.
Yes.
Where Zuckbomb, that's all mine, thanks very much. And then these will then get replaced. But you can't take the pirate cards. So the pirate cards,
they're just blocking that position.
They're blocking things. Then we've got almost there, which is brewing something up.
Okay.
So what Witch does is takes a card from everybody.
Yep.
A card from their own supply, which they can choose.
Okay.
Random, and then any one card from the market. So this one. Then looks at them.
Okay.
Takes any 2. It's pretty obvious. We'll do that.
Yeah, we'll have that. Thank you.
And then I hand them to you.
Okay.
You choose one.
All right.
And keep it.
And I
give it to him.
All right.
Okay. So the person to my right's get the worst of this deal.
So he's going to stitch up.
And then finally we have Actor. And Actor looks around the table at all the cards that have been played and chooses one of them and replicates that role.
Cool. Obviously, you can look at the board position, see what's out there, and go, no, if I take
this
that.
Is the best thing to do with this situation.
Nice.
And as I say, as you go along, when you've done your roll, if you have money, you buy stuff.
Yep.
And then effectively all the cards come back together, they're shuffled again, and then I hand on the roll card.
It's the next player.
And we start again.
And we go round and round.
And we play a certain number of turns.
Yep.
In a 6-player game, everyone will be lead player once.
Okay.
Okay. In a 5-player game, slight weirdness is we play 7 rounds.
Okay.
Actually, only 2 of the people will get to be lead player twice.
Right.
So to compensate the others, they each get a goods card at the start of the game.
Fine. So they've got the evens, balances all out.
For the 4-player, you go around twice.
Okay.
And for a 3-player game, you go around 4 times.
Cool.
So it's worked on roughly 32 to 36 cards are going to get played in a game.
Yep.
Or rolls going to get played. And that seems to be often where the goods deck's starting to run out.
Yes.
Just about. And we're going to do a fair amount of play testing to see how many goods cards do we need. At one point we had a lot more money cards.
Right.
But actually money cards just get spent.
Yes, so they're just getting recycled back through the pot.
What you've got to do is go have enough of those goods cards. They can run low towards the end of the game. And if they run out completely, which is unlikely to happen, but if it did happen, your strategy would have to be towards trying to get another. In the last term.
Yeah. What can I get? What can I get? Bonus up.
So there we are. And that's essentially the game. And then you score up at the end, so you get whatever the value is. So what you then normally do is we get people to sort of sort their things into sets.
Okay.
So that's 6 points there.
Yep.
A couple of breads is worth nothing.
Yep.
The cloth is just 2 or whatever. But normally you've got lots more in
the sort of sets.
And this is where potentially having wide and cloth can work quite well, because although the gems are worth a lot more, everyone's after them.
Yes.
And it's difficult to get numbers of those.
Yeah.
Everyone's stealing them from everybody else and so on.
So you
tend to sort of go a little bit blind to cloth and wine a little.
Yeah. So I'll let them fight over that, and I'll get just below that, and
And then if you can get one of each goods type, so you've got the 5 goods, then you get a bonus of 10 points.
Cool.
And potentially, because you can have 8 cards, in theory you could get a bonus of 80 points if you could somehow manage to get 8 of the 8
if you manage to somehow pull that off. Yeah.
For people to allow that to happen,
they get everything they deserve at that point.
They get everything they deserve, exactly.
Cool.
And I think that's it essentially. I think there's a tiebreaker we've got, which is the most of the most gems and so on down. But usually we don't need that.
Yeah.
It lasts 45 minutes to an hour.
I like the sound of that. It's a solid little. I mean, my group love a bit of drafting and those sort of card games, and it's
not a particularly heavyweight game. Some people have said after Great Fire, maybe it's a bit lighter on that. But as I've said, running on my other hat is I run the Expo.
Yep.
So I got Great Fire out, and then suddenly the monster that was the Expo sort of got larger and larger.
Yep.
And I've got several prototypes which I tend to bring to the show, and getting those to production has been the thing. So we came up with Big Ticket Tailor because it was relatively easy to do all the play testing, get it ready.
Yeah.
But I do, I have. There's a demo of 9 Worlds, which is a prototype I'm working on, which I'm hoping to get at either Essen or an Expo next year.
Excellent.
That's a slightly more medium weight.
A bit more meat to it,
More meat to it.
Yeah.
And London Bridge, which has been here before. Hopefully that's more heavyweight. Cool. But it's finding the time to finish prototypes off, isn't it?
Well, yes. I mean, these sort of games, the card games and this stuff is seeing real resurgence at the moment. A lot of people, it's portable, put it in your bag, take it on holiday.
And sometimes, especially last night, we were all tired, we wanted to play something, so we didn't want to get out the real crunchy heavyweight.
Yeah, you're kind of
so we ended up playing, Red Dragon Tavern?
Yep.
And One Night Werewolf.
Yeah, which is,
because they're fairly light, easy, and everyone can understand the rules quickly, and you can play it and stuff. So sometimes I think filler games, starter games, things.
I think every good collection needs you need the heavier things, but a few of these nice little sort of just a little bit of bite and something to keep you happy are great to have in your collection.
Yep.
Which obviously someone's going to want this now, because it sounds fascinating. Where would they get that?
They get it. Well, they can get it off the Medusa Games website.
Yep.
It's on sale there at the moment. And obviously going to be trying to talk to some of the shops and retailers and distributors ultimately to see about getting it. I've done initially quite a small print run just to have
something in your hand so you can
get a bit of feedback, see what people feel about it.
Okay.
There may be another print run with either the same box or possibly we might redesign things a little bit. that we'll come to later. But at the moment, I mean, I've got to go and have a chat with the Coral Spring people off to Europe, so we'll take a set and demo a bit over there, see what the feel is.
Excellent.
And I'm getting a German language translation done.
Well, yeah, it's quite.
There's very language. The only language is really on
the roll cards.
We've already got German.
Yep.
On the top of the things. Although I've discovered a slang term in German.
Right.
Because my translator and I had a meeting yesterday, and I went through just let me check that the only German words I've got on here is I've got bread or brot, so that's fine. Fish, and it's the same, pretty much the same.
Yep.
Wine, okay, and Irish sign or whatever it is gems. But when we come to cloth,
okay,
it should be Stoffer, I think, with an E on the end for sort of quantity of cloth. But Stoff in German is a slang term for drugs.
Oh,
this is the drug.
Okay, so the secret German drug card has been in there. So.
But that might create a bit of a laugh in German.
Well, it is. But yeah, cool. Yeah. I actually like the feel of that, Richard. It sounds really good. And, it's a solid little game that I think I'd like to get to my group and give it a go. And I wish you well with that.
Good.
Yeah, excellent stuff.
Right.
Cool. Fantastic.